How you guys doing today? It is going to be a great video today. We're going to go over the basics of One Piece 101. I don't know if anyone's ever done this, but if they have, good job. If they haven't, we're going to be the first. Alright, so the first thing we're going to cover is we're going to cover Monkey D. Luffy, the main character, aka Straw Hat Luffy, aka Future Pirate King, aka he's going to shit on anybody in front of him because he's going to fucking do it, aka the guy you cannot fucking beat, aka fucking, I don't know. Fuck the language. Fuck it. Whatever. Fuck it again. I'm gonna have to, shit, I'm gonna fucking edit that out. Yeah, that's too many fucks. I don't have fucks to give, but whatever. Anywho, the first things we're gonna cover is where he came from, what's his goal, and a few other things about him that describes him as a person and what his ambitions are. So with that being said, let's get into it. Monkey D. Luffy is the main character. He's also known as, like I said, Straw Hat Luffy. And a little tidbit of information. His grandfather happens to be in the Navy, which is kind of sort of the enemy of him, seeing as how he's a pirate. His grandfather, like I said, is Monkey D. Garp. And his father, which they later reveal, is Monkey D. Dragon. So we've got a little bit of the Chinese zodiac thing going on with monkeys, dragons, garps kind of thing going on. So that being said, let's continue further. A little bit of his backstory. He has two brothers. They're not actually his biological brothers, but they are his sworn brothers. That is Portegus D. Ace and Sabo. I don't remember his last name at the moment, but it'll probably kick in. Maybe they never gave him a last name, but Sabo is his name. Sabo also, by the way, works with Monkey D. Dragon, Luffy's father, and he is actually the revolutionary chief of staff. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the video segments. This video segments are going to be more than just one. It's going to just start off with just the basics of the characters and the development of the characters as they progress through the storyline. So with that being said, let's go back to Monkey D. Luffy. His goal is basically to become the Pirate King, and the Pirate King is basically a title given to the pirate that is basically the king of all pirates. That's wealth, that's fame, that's power, like anything that signifies power and authority and that sets him above the rest of the pirates is basically the title of Pirate King. And he believes by being the Pirate King, it gives him the most freedom in the world. Starting off as a kid, he ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi, which gives him the properties of rubber. Devil fruits are basically powers in this world where it allows characters to manipulate things and do certain things. Some of them are fire, ice, wind, so forth, and they can be broken down into three categories. You have Parmesians, which are basically anyone's physical characteristics are changed or altered. You have Logias, which are element-based, so that could be of fire, that could be of water, that could be of ice. Any elemental-based property, basically, is a Logia. And then the last one is a Zoan. These Zoans are basically animals, animal-based powers. They can transform into animals. It could be anything from a leopard to a tiger to a bear to a monkey to any kind of animal, so to speak of. So with those three being said, Luffy, with his power, the Gomu Gomu no Mi, grants him the Parmesian power, which allows him to become rubber, and thus making him a rubber man. So he can stretch his body. Bullets will not affect him because he can just reflect the bullets back. But he is susceptible to being cut. He can be cut in half. So that's one of the things he has to be mindful of. So that's the basic covering of his powers. A little bit of his backstory, not too much, because a little bit more of his backstory will be revealed once we start getting to crew members. And so far in the story, he has been known to be very reckless. He's very clueless, carefree. He loves to eat preferably meat, which actually is one of the things that helps his powers, by him eating a lot of meat, because he consumes a lot of meat. He also consumes a lot of energy in his fighting style, because he's a predominantly a close-range fighter. However, he does have long-range attacks. And by long-range attacks, it's only due to the fact that he can stretch his arms. So the more long-distance an attack that it has to be, the more his powers, he has to really focus on using them. So with that being said, let's go ahead and continue a little bit further. One of the things about Monkey D. Luffy is the fact that he has a straw hat. His signature look is a straw hat, and with the straw hat, he actually received it from a pirate that later is revealed to be a big player in the future arcs as well as future locations in One Piece. And that is Shanks, and he is the leader of the Red Hair Pirates. Shanks is easily noticeable. He has red hair, and he has a scar across his left side of his face, a scratch mark, I guess, across his eye. And one of the interesting things is he lost his right arm, or his left arm, saving Monkey D. Luffy against a sea monster. With him losing his arm, it was more of a wager of betting on the future, or a gamble. He didn't have to save him. He didn't have to do anything. He could have just let him die, but Shanks went out and saved Luffy because he's seen how much Luffy wanted to become a pirate. And that kind of thing that he's seen reminded him a lot, much like his captain, which happens to be Gold D. Rogers. Now, I don't know if you know who Gold D. Rogers is, but if you watch the anime or the manga, the chapters that come out, Gold D. Rogers was the Pirate King. He was the guy at the top. He had no one who could rival him. He had no competitors. The world government couldn't go head-to-head against him. Any pirates could not go head-to-head against him. Basically, he was the guy that was at the top, and no one could touch him. The only thing that could touch him was death, basically, which eventually it did, and he did die. However, his death was by the hands of the Marines, but he actually turned himself in to the Marines only because he was already dying. And so his last pilgrimage, or his the last years of his life that he had left, he sailed out into the seas, and he conquered it all within about 2 years, conquering the Grand Line. Grand Line, so to speak, is basically the main point, or the main point of interest of where all the pirates converge after they leave the North Blue, the South Blue, the East Blue, and the West Blue. Now, these 4 quadrants of the One Piece world, these 4 quadrants of them are sectioned off by the Grand Line. And it's a big barrier, or a big wall that's red, coincidentally, that divides all of these oceans and allows the whole Grand Line, the New World, the main focus of where pirates are at, to converge at. It's the easiest way for them to easily get from one side to another is just by crossing through the Grand Line. Now, whether someone wants to do that, it's a very difficult task because it is not meant for anybody and everyone to be able to do. The ones who do have few access, or easier access to cross through that, is the world government. Because of their power and their authority, they have access to a lot of things a lot of people don't. So with that getting covered of the North, East, South, Blue, Monkey D. Luffy, and predominantly most of his crew, I believe, came from, let me check real quick, and I believe, I'd like to say it's East Blue that he came from. I'm gonna think. I'd like to say it is East Blue. But yeah, it is East Blue. Yeah, it is the East Blue. So with that being said, he meets a lot of his his first set of crew members in East Blue, which we'll go into, which is Roanoa Zoro. He is a swordsman, and he used to be a bounty hunter, a pirate bounty hunter, which makes it kind of funny going from a guy who chases pirates for their bounties to becoming a pirate himself. And his goal, or his ambition, is to become the world's greatest swordsman. His backstory is a little bit sad, but at the same time, it also shows how long this has been a dream of his. He uses 3-sword style, which is called Santoryu. And what he does is has 1 sword in each hand, and then he places a 3rd sword in his mouth. How Why he does that, don't know, but he's one of the very few people that you actually see to use any more than one sword or two swords. So there is someone who does use 4 swords, and that's Kaku, which he's later on in the series, and he's also an enemy and works for the world government. But at the moment, Zoro is the only one who uses that 3-sword style. The next person on his crew is Usopp. Usopp is known as a liar. Usopp is known as a liar in the very beginning of the story. And he's got a big nose, so a lot of the crew members call him Long Nose Kun. Or Long Nose. Kun is kind of like a familiar. Because they know him, they call him Long Nose. I'm not going to struggle saying that word. Anywho, and Usopp, coincidentally, his father is also part of Shanks' crew called Yasopp. So that's interesting. So inevitable meeting between Yasopp and Usopp is going to happen, as well as Luffy and Shanks. So that's going to be definitely one of the things Oda is going to show us in the future. The next on the list is Nami. Nami is a cat burglar. She's a thief. She is a tricky one. However, she loves money. She loves money. The reason for that is because when she was younger, fisherman pirate, and yes, it gets weird in here with fisherman pirates, ends up taking over her village that she's in and holds the village for hostage. In order for her to get her village back, she has to literally come up with 100 million berries. It's like $100 million, basically, as a kid, in order to free her village. And it takes her a few years to actually do that, and afterwards, the guy that took over that hijacked the whole island refuses to let her people go, and instead keeps her and takes her as a pirate, takes her as his crew, and gives her the Arlong Pirate Crew tattoo mark, because she's actually a navigator. She actually is a navigator and actually makes really great charts of the oceans and so forth. And she's only just a kid, so having that skill set as a kid is very helpful, just as a pirate in general. But to also be a navigator and also be really good at being a burglar and stealing stuff is one of the reasons why Arlong wanted to keep her, because he saw the value in that. And as long as he kept her village hostage, she would never go anywhere, even though she was free to go steal all this money. The next on the list is Sanji. He is a cook on a floating restaurant called the Barate, if I'm saying it right. And his mentor is Red Leg Zeph. He was a well-known pirate in the New World, which is basically into the Grand Line. And he basically shows Sanji how to cook and everything. He teaches him how to be a chivalrous gentleman. He teaches him how to cook and how to fight and so forth. So basically, he basically adopted Sanji after an incident. And so Sanji learns a lot from him, not really how to be a pirate, so to speak, but more of cooking and how to be an adult gentleman and so forth. The next on the list is Chopper. Chopper is seen as the pet of the crew, when in actuality he's a reindeer, and he's actually the ship's doctor. Go figure. Yes. Side note: Chopper ate the human no Mi, so he has a Zoan fruit that allows him to transform from a reindeer into a human, and he has multiple forms. So not only is he a doctor, but he also can fight, and he actually is a serious contender as a fighter, but just not a top tier fighter. Next is Nico Robin. Nico Robin is one of the most interesting crew members on there. She used to be a criminal syndicate leader, or a crime syndicate leader organization, and she was the number 2 in that organization. And afterwards, once the Straw Hats meet this whole organization, and she ends up joining them after so forth and so forth. But the cool thing about Nico Robin is the fact that she's an archaeologist. And those are hard to come by in this world, because not a lot of people know archaeology like that. She can read Poneglyphs, which are basically illegal to read, or even to have, or to own, or anything like that, or to study. And her backstory, I'm going to make her short and sweet, because her backstory isn't as complicated as everyone else's, is that when she was 8 years old, she became an archaeologist so that she can learn how to study the Poneglyphs and everything, because she wanted to be an archaeologist, just like her mom was. She had not met her mom in years. She barely remembers her mom, and so if she saw her mom, she would never even recognize her. So she became an archaeologist to go out to the sea and find her mom. Well, because she wouldn't become an archaeologist and she was studying poneglyphs, the world government found out that all the people on O'Hara was studying that, and they came with a buster call, which basically is vice admirals, one of the top, basically the top tier, not the top tier, but the base of the top tier admirals. They send 5 of them with warships, and they destroy whatever the target is. No survivors, no mercy, no nothing. If their buster call is called, everybody and everything is meant to be killed and wiped out. She survived a buster call at 8 years old. After that, they found out that she was alive. The Navy put a $79 million bounty on an 8-year-old child. So for 20 years, up until this point, she's been running for her life, doing whatever it takes to survive, to study poneglyphs and figure out what the poneglyphs are for and what they're meant. So we'll get back to Robin and we'll go to the next person, which is Frankie, who happened to join the crew the same time as Nico Robin. Frankie is a cyborg. Yes, he is a cyborg. Yes, he is a cyborg. He actually did it himself, and it was only because he tried to stop a sea train. The sea train is basically like a train that runs on the sea, which his mentor, Tom, actually made, and so he knows and understands how that is. And Frankie's also a shipwright. He knows how to build ships, take care of ships, maintain ships, and so forth, which later on he helps build the Straw Hats' second ship after the first one was lost. The second one, the one that he made, is called the Thousand Sunny, which is the dopest ship ever. The dopest ship ever, okay? Who knows if he makes another one, but whatevs. And so far, as of currently right now, Brooke is the last person to join the Straw Hats crew, and Brooke is a skeleton, ladies and gentlemen. There is no way around it. He is a skeleton with an afro. He also happens to be a musician. Brooke was dead, and he has the Yomi no Mi, which grants the person the ability to resurrect themselves from the dead. So once Brooke died and his whole crew died, his soul came back and was able to find his body, but because it took so long for his soul to find his body was a skeleton, i.e. he's a living skeleton. So this is just a little cover-up of the basic introduction to One Piece and who the crew members are. I'll cover a little bit more of them each individually for the chapter per sections, but for now, it's a little introduction to who the Straw Hats are. I'll probably see if I can add some pictures or video clips of each individual member at the end of this, so you guys know who I'm talking about face to face, you know who's who and so forth. Side note, they are all badasses in their own right. Don't get it twisted. So that's it. See you guys in the next video. Peace out.